Actually, yesterday I streamed this video, not video, but yesterday I was live talking about my personal story, how I connected with the divine and established communication. And the video quality was so bad, I'm going to delete it from YouTube. And so I decided to do it again because I believe that my story inspires others or could inspire others to do what I've done. And I've heard a lot of good comments about it. So here I am sharing my story again. So my story started in 1995. Before that, I was actually born and raised in a former Soviet Union where I had no idea about any what I am teaching now and what I've done for the last 28 years. I had no idea about divine, about God, about any of it. We did not have any official religion that we could practice or subscribe to. We did not have any of it. So I started with a clean slate, basically. And so when I came to America, I woke up, and I'm going to share this moment of my profound spiritual awakening. Usually, I ask people how they woke up spiritually, and they say it was gradual. They just started gradually in being interested in reading books, in reading metaphysical literature, and that's how it all started. But it was gradual. For me, it was very abrupt, very in a very unexpected way. So here it goes. So it was 1995. I was writing my first book, and I was sitting at the computer typing something quietly in my home office, and I was focused and I was quiet. And obviously, that was a perfect moment for the divine to intervene with my quiet moment. Suddenly, I felt like 1,000 light bulbs burst with light inside my head, and it felt, I even got an image that it was very vast space inside my skull, and it was completely lit up, so lit up with 1,000 light bulbs. And it was well, basically it was very, very bright divine light. I had no idea what it was. All I knew was just it was happening to me. And apparently, the conversation started, which I was not aware of it consciously, but I asked a question. So I, right now, looking back, I'm thinking, how was it that I asked the question that was needed to be asked, and I have no idea why would I even ask it? So out of the blue, I never pondered it. I didn't think about it. Suddenly, out of the blue, I'm talking to the now I know high being of light, and I'm asking this question: no matter what I do, why things in my life are not how I want them to be. So when I asked that question, as a matter of fact, the answer followed, and the answer was, everything is inside of you, the good and the ugly. Well, now it's so obvious, everybody talks about it, that go within, heal within. But in 1995, where I was in my stage of my consciousness, I had no idea about it, and not many people around me knew about it as well. And so I answered to that answer. I replied, well, if everything is inside of me, I'm going to go within, and I'm going to find the answer, and I'm going to change everything. Again, I have no idea how I came up with this such a brilliant answer. I have no idea, but it did happen. I did come up with it, and that was it. The lights went down and everything returned back to normal. I was back in my state of consciousness in my room, and that was it. It never repeated again. So I know that it was, and I never questioned it. I never questioned, I never doubted, because an amazing things ensured afterwards. And that's why it was profound for me. It was a profound moment. I still remember it very vividly. So little did I know what transpired. Actually, what happened was, I gave consent to my spiritual journey within. And for the last 28 years, I've been on this journey, literally step by step, 24/7, never quit, dedicated my life to that journey within. And now I also have clients. Well, I always had, but I have also clients who are on this journey of inner journey home to freedom and power, spiritual freedom, spiritual power. So we all are achieving spiritual mastery over the material world. Since hence these lives. And so back to 1995, that day, nothing happened, nothing more. That was great already for one day. But the very next day, I had a strong urge to go to drive to Barnes and Noble. It's an American chain bookseller, and I love it. I've always been an avid reader, and so therefore it was nothing new. However, at that moment, I did not plan to go anywhere. I did not think about going to Barnes and Noble. I was doing something else, but suddenly I'm having this urge to go there. So this urge pulled me out of my house and made me go to Barnes and Noble, which was 30-minute drive, and I marched through the whole store, went to the second floor, and ended up in front of the bookshelf. And I've never been in front of that bookshelf before. So here I am looking at the bookshelf and it says New Age. And I'm like, what is that? I have no idea. But I was so suddenly, I was so interested because of my awakening the day before. And so I was getting these books and I got the pile of books this big, bought them and came home, and I needed to choose which book to read first. And then an interesting phenomenon started happening, and I was just observing it without even thinking, analyzing. I was just looking and noticing because I was pulled from inside, I was guided. And I know now that I was divinely guided to start reading one specific book at a time and then continue reading another specific book at a time. And when I looked back, what it looked like one each other book, each next book was based on the previous book. So it was like learning crash course in all metaphysical subjects all at once because they were books by different authors, books by different on different topics. They were not related to each other, but I was definitely. It felt like a crash course in metaphysics because now I don't read those books anymore, but it was at the beginning. That's how I started, and I needed to. So that was divine guidance, and then two. Also, at that very beginning, two spiritual lessons were introduced to me. So one relates to the physical sense, and the second relates to the spiritual. So the physical lesson was I had to become a vegetarian. And I didn't plan on it, I didn't think about it. It was just again divine guidance. I had that urge inside, and it wasn't an urge like, oh, I want to do it. No, the urge was you have to do it, right? So it was divine guidance again. At that time I didn't know it, but now I do. And so I became a vegetarian. I took steps, I gradually did it. Even I got rid of even fish, so any flesh. So that was one lesson. The second lesson was how I had to, so the idea, so the second lesson was spiritual. I had to, or rather, I was introduced to the idea that there is a communication. There is communication that I am guided from above, from the spirit world. I am guided each step of the way. However, because I was in a physical body, in a human body, as a soul, I'm a soul live stream in a physical body. And because of that, I have five senses. I've always been intuitive. I've always been, following some instincts and so forth. But it was different. It was not really. just intuitive sense, it was conscious. So I had five senses and I had to rely on them. And because human always needs a proof, right? We always want a proof. If there is one sign, give me another one, give me another one, because I have to prove it, because I'm relying only on my five senses. And so to develop that gift, to develop those five senses, to develop the sixth sense, the seventh sense, which are already developed now, but I'm talking about 1995 year. And at that time, I needed to have some kind of system that would help me communicate with the divine. And little did I know that it was actually, the idea was given to me, it was a divinely inspired idea. I was establishing communication with the divine, not just them giving me something, but also I could ask questions, I could talk to the divine, and I could get the answers. And answers could be immediate or maybe second day or the first day, but answers would always come. So that's how I started in 1995. I didn't think about it. I didn't talk about it to anybody. I just started using it. It was just fun for me because the divine introduced this divine guidance sign. So I started noticing. I've done a lot of work by just observing and noticing. And that's how I create my systems, how I create my tools that I teach my clients to. So I was following this divine guidance system, rather the idea, and I started playing with science and I started noticing that I'm getting them and I can understand them and they actually make sense. And I started putting them in a system. It felt like a foreign language that I was learning. Well, I already learned English because, as you can see from my accent, I was speaking Russian before, now I speak English. And it was the same way. I was learning the foreign language. And the foreign language, you have to learn from the beginning. First, you use words and mechanical explanation of the words. Then you make words into a phrase. And then you make words into a sentence. And then you make words into your speech. So it's a process, it's gradual. You can't learn any language overnight, in spite of whatever apps promise you. I don't think so, if you really want to speak fluent language. But it takes time, determination, and so forth. And that's why for 28 years it took me that much to really create the system, to design it, to perfect it, to test it. And the main thing, as again, we in the human body, as souls, we are in the human body, and the human body wants evidence, wants to test everything, doesn't believe in spirit world because the human body doesn't know about spirit world. And therefore I had to prove to myself many over and over and over that divine is really giving me the signs and divine is really communicating with me, and it's all true and practical and useful and so forth. And gradually over time life became magical, because, and I usually say, and I started saying it all the time now, and my clients started saying all the time, I am in awe. And therefore now we're all in awe. And that's actually amazing, because the more you learn about science, the more in awe you become, and the life becomes magical. And you are constantly tuned into the spirit world. You are tuned into the divine, and you're constantly with the divine. And that's why life becomes magical, because you start seeing miracles. You start seeing things that normally before, in a traditional way, you didn't perceive, you didn't notice. They were all around you, but you had no idea, because you lived your life in a normal traditional way, how you got used to reading books, spiritual books on a weekend, but not really noticing what's going on around you, because the world is really not what you see, because things are not always as they seem. And so that's my story of how I established this transformation, not transformation, how I established my communication with the divine. And now this system, I consider myself the queen of divine guidance science, because I've designed it, I've designed it, I've made it as a system. I tested it. I've proven it. I'm using it. I'm teaching it. So by now, I'm speaking that language fluently. And what I want for you is to speak the same language fluently. So I would like to invite you to my Divine Guidance Challenge that is coming up in few days, and I want to have this opportunity to share with you what we will be doing in this class. So it's 3 days, 2 hours each day, where you will prove yourself that the divine is close, personal, and present in your life. Literally, you will start feeling. That's why I say life is magical, because you start feeling it. You start seeing that divine is really close and personal, and you will meet your divine as well. Open a real two-way direct communication with the divine. You have no idea that you can really communicate and you can get the answers, because even teaching this divine guidance challenge was a divinely inspired idea. So I did not come up with it just with my limited human mind. I came up with it because it was given to me by the divine. So learn how to ask for divine guidance, that you could receive a clear answer every time you ask, because you can ask. You don't have to just pray and get no answer, or you don't know whether you got the answer or not. You will know that you got the answer because you will be perceptive of it. You will be able to receive it, but you also know how to ask for that, and understand why it's super important to learn this foreign language, because it is foreign to the human mind, but it creates amazing business flow, it creates amazing life flow, and it just, again, it makes your business, it makes your life magical and much easier than in a normal regular world. And then be challenged to receive your own divine guidance and work with it. Everything I do, everything I teach is about practical application of spiritual principles at work. It's achieving spiritual mastery over the material world, which means you're not just reading about it. You are not just knowing about it. You are actually using it in everyday situation, in everyday difficult situation, easy situation, making decisions, and so forth. So that's an incredibly important tool to have, because it'll help you tremendously in life. So go to irenabaker.com/challenge and register. It's free. And today, before this, I made another live that was about how that website crashed, and I had to apply my spiritual mastery to fix it very fast. So make sure to watch that live stream. It's day 13, and I'm redoing this one because the video was so bad quality. I have no idea why. The streaming company doesn't know why, so I'm redoing it. Hopefully this video will be good. Anyway, go and register irenabaker.com/challenge. And remember, when you follow the divine, divine follows you. When you serve the divine, money, I'm sorry, I messed it up. When you follow the divine, money follows you. When you serve the divine, money serves you. Bye now.